know that IT departments are underfunded, overwhelmed, and very grumpy at times. And if you go to them and they're like, file a ticket, have you done a ticket? Have you tried turning it off and on again? There's a bit of a stereotype. Then, you know, if we can reduce that as much as possible, then great. However, I imagine you're getting there at some point as well, there's a huge amount of control that needs to be around security, compliance, and auditing. So what we don't want is Bob in the accounts department having full read-write access to your SQL server and using it in password and things like that. So IT can control all of the credential side of things, and the users that are building the flows basically just from a drop-down go, oh, that's the data server, click. They never see the credentials, they never have access to the credentials. The flow, when it executes, grabs those in kind of real time and decrypts them and uses them at that point. They're never printed in logs, they're never transferred anywhere else. So IT can be aware, you know, have control over who has access to these credentials, from like an RBAC point of view, and also have a good level of confidence that they're not being printed out to someone's email by accident, you know, going, oh, you know, send an email to Fran, here's the database password, and place in a placeholder, things like that. So there's controls around that, so your IT director or whatever, it doesn't suddenly go, we can't be doing that, we can't have passwords and access to things like that.
Presumably, depending on how much you trust your user and their technical competence, you can control kind of how much SQL they, because they mean they could bring your database down with a badly formatted query, or they could pull data out that maybe they shouldn't be able to access.
So that will come down to normal database access mechanisms.
Okay, yeah.
So you
so
create a user
user
that could
has
only
access
do
to these.
read access to these schemas, for example.
Yeah.
The flow wouldn't have a layer on top of that beyond the normal RBAC controls of this user can access these credentials. But in terms of your actual gatekeeping of data within your database, you'd use whatever your normal native control